Okay, I wanted to do a video about these fuel pickup assemblies off the Mark IVs. As you're aware, if you saw my other videos, I'm having problems with the P0251 code. I'm getting some error in my lines, and I believe it's from fuel starvation. So we're just looking at this. So I'm going to share with you what I've discovered. So if you take a look at these, of course you got your fuel level sender, which is this thing right here, and basically this will travel up and down, and these contacts will rub against this potentiometer, which will give you your fuel level. On the bottom here there's a small float valve, and basically that just closes a little O-ring inside here in this assembly. But a lot of people are not aware there's a check valve in here. So if you take a real close look at the top here, come on camera, you can do it. See that little R where it says return? Let me see if I can get in here. Come on, focus. So that's your return, and that says V. And I'm trying to remember in the video, the outer line is your blue line, and your inner line is your black line. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So the black line goes to the pump, the blue line is the return. Yeah, it was blue on the outside, black on the inside. So the inner part here, your inner valve hookup or inner line hookup, this is clear. This doesn't have a valve in it. So coming out of the tank or the pickup assembly, there's no valve. And I just find it hard to believe that these things, you know, as many of them that have to get replaced because some freaking algae on the TDIs plugs this huge massive screen, right? Like mice can run through this screen. What the hell is that supposed to filter out? So I believe it's a possibility, but I don't think that's what's going on. If you take a look at this, this is to the pump, this comes back in from the pump. There's a check valve here. So if I blow on this, I don't know if you could hear that, but air goes through, blowing on it, but if I try and draw on it, nothing comes out. Now when I first did this, it would go either way. And I think there's a ball valve assembly that's down inside here, a check valve, if you can see down in there. So if you look at the return line has a check valve, and then the pickup line does not. See, it looks like it could have had one, right? See it? So this is to the pump, sucking out of the tank. See the one down in there? There's a little rubber ball in there. And that's a check valve. I just find it curious that they got a check valve on the return line, and the check valve allows fuel to go in but not to come out. That's kind of odd. Now either that's there, they're just using a check valve as a form of resistance too. It could be they're just using the check valve, the ball valve in there, to resist the fuel that's going back into the tank to add a little more pressure into the injector pump. I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what, if you look down in there, in that little check valve for the return, it's pretty small. There's not a lot of volume that's going to go through that. So I wonder if that isn't a problem for a lot of these. When I take my old one out, I'll take a look at it. But anyway, these are kind of neat how they're assembled. Let me see if I can get this apart and kind of show you here what's inside. I'm going to set the phone down for a minute. Okay, hold on. So there's three little tabs on the outside of the housing. You can kind of pop these open, and it'll allow you to get access in here. But I don't want to break this thing because it's pretty damn expensive. And I'm going to pop these wires off. But so what I've done is there's these little tabs, if you see them here. See those? There's three of them. There's one there, and then on the other side. So if I lift this out carefully, you got to disconnect these wires too, because they're tight in here. You lift this out real carefully. It's spring loaded. Oh shit. Glad I've already done this. I know how it goes together. So you've got this inner piece, and then you have this piece. So there's that little, I can get this damn camera to go. See that little float on the bottom? It pushes that rubber seal there against this cup, which has a little seal in the bottom. That's the center one. And then this is spring loaded, and this piece goes here. The seal has to go back on, of course. Like that. So get my bearings right again. So blue's on the outside. Yeah, so this is your pickup tube going to the pump, and this is the return. And then looking down in there, if you can see down in the hole, no check valve or no ball valve. And there's one way down in there. It's kind of neat. So yeah, I wonder if that isn't an issue too, that those are getting clogged up inside that little ball valve in the return. So this would wind up being the return, right? Yeah. So this is the return and this is the pickup. So I might have got that backwards again. So the fuel goes in here and it comes back down into the system through here. It drops down into this assembly. It's kind of a weird setup. Anyway, just figured I'd take one of these apart, and a new one, and show people what the guts are. And put this thing back together. And that's your pickup assembly. So don't lose your O-ring if you take yours apart. And it's kind of a pain in the ass to put together, but if you take your time, you should be able to just snap it together. Make sure that's working. So yeah, check valve on the return. That's pretty odd. So that, I guess you don't get back pressure, but these are vented tanks. I don't understand this. You know, how is fuel going to come back up out of the tank back into the pump? This is the return, which has a check valve, and this is the pickup, which doesn't. If I'm understanding this right. So, yeah. You got any comments on this thing and why it's designed this way? It'd be interesting to know. So here's some comments. Because you'd think they'd have a check valve on the pickup side, right? So that it would prevent any fuel from draining out of the line back into the tank. I've already put a check valve up top by the fuel filter just to prevent that, just in case, but just an over precautionary type of a measure that I did on mine. So anyway, I'll be putting this in tomorrow and cleaning my tank and taking out the old one, and if it's really bad and I can find out what's wrong with the old one or what's clogged it, I'll do another video. Alright, peace out.